Julianne, please share your thoughts on what do you think or how you think narcissism is manifested in a person.
Well, usually a narcissist has been very traumatized
Hmm.
themselves in their own lives in childhood, and they have
Hmm.
become, you know, so they deem their true selves as very broken and damaged.
Hmm.
And so they feel so traumatized and a hatred of their true selves
Hmm.
that they reject their true selves and they
Hmm.
take on a persona
Hmm.
um, of a false self. So it's like a
Right,
false self, a false
right,
image.
right.
Um, so really, that's how narcissism comes about in a person, usually.
Usually, all right. Um, so, um, so a person who has experienced childhood trauma, would they be, you know, prone to have narcissistic traits in when they grow up?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
So that's why, we have kind of two sides of this. We have the narcissist
Yeah.
and we have the codependent person.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I like
Yes.
to call it the codependent dance.
Okay.
So just because we've been, experienced trauma in childhood, which
Hmm.
I have to say many, 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 many people have experienced trauma in childhood or trauma
Yes. Yes.
somewhere along the line. In fact,
Yes. Yes.
most
Yes.
of
Yes.
us have
Yes. Yes.
experienced
Yes.
trauma. That doesn't
Yes.
automatically make us a narcissist.
Of course.
However, very often we become codependent.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
that's there are those that
Hmm.
become the narcissist. The
Yes.
narcissist and the codependent are almost like two sides of the same coin.
Right.
Yeah,
They both need
um,
each other.
they need each other and they're
Right.
drawn to each other.
Yes.
The
Yes.
narcissist will go for the codependent person because they have a lack of boundaries. They
Hmm.
are the A grade supply, if you like. But
Right.
if you're asking me how is narcissism, how does that come about in a person?
Hmm.
It's usually where they've experienced trauma themselves
Okay.
and they have taken that route. So rather
Okay.
than become the codependent where we kind of take it all into ourselves
Right.
and have those no boundaries and go that way, they become the superiority, the
Hmm.
grandiose version of themselves. They
Hmm.
take on a false self.
Right. So can we put it this way that so when the kid experiences something like this, maybe he has a dysfunctional family or he sees an environment which is toxic, then he just, instead of going for that personality which is usually subdued and the one that suffers the most, the child subconsciously, maybe due to the survival instincts, chooses to be the abuser, but subconsciously, and that just manifests into a proper NPD.
Well, narcissism has many traits, so
Mm-hmm.
it has a spectrum.
Right,
It's the
right,
extreme end of it is
right,
narcissist personality disorder, and then we have
right.
psychopaths and sociopaths,
Yes, yes, yes,
and then
yes.
we have people with um, narcissistic traits. There's a whole spectrum.
Right.
Um, it's yeah. In some ways, we could say that it's an unconscious choice that they make to,
Okay,
to disown their true selves and to take on a false self,
okay.
a false image.
All right. Hi guys, welcome to the Rubbish Truths. My name is Sartaj, and I have a guest with me, and I would like her to introduce herself and just tell us what services she offers and what work she's into. Julianne, please.
Hello, my name is Julianne Shapiro. I'm a narcissistic abuse recovery facilitator. I'm also a singer-songwriter, and I founded Love is Always Kind, which offers healing and coaching, trauma release work for women who have suffered the pain and trauma of narcissistic abuse. Um, we also have events, coaching, and healing. And I also write music about my own healing and my own
Yes.
journey.
Yes.
Um, so it's really a safe space and community for women to heal, and not just to heal, but to really soar high and to thrive in their lives going forward.
Okay. I really like how you put it, how you put your organization's thing as the safe space, because that's what the people who are into healing, they're looking for a safe space, but we don't know how to put it, right? And about your songs, I did hear a couple of songs that you've written and composed, and I really like the Alien song, if I'm not wrong. That's what the name of
Yeah,
the song is, right? And I could just relate to all the lines, and I was like I mentioned to you on our Instagram chats that it was like a roller coaster of emotions for me. Like you took me from the first line to the last chorus. I really liked the song. Um,
thank
you
you.
you released an album as well recently.
I did. I wrote my album. Well, when I left I was living in California when I
Oh,
was
okay,
married. My husband
all
was
right,
American. And when
okay,
I left America, and my marriage, I went to Bali in Indonesia.
yes, yes,
And,
yes,
and that's where I did, most of my own healing. And
right,
um, and so during the time that I was in Bali, I wrote an album called Met by
right,
Grace.
right, right, right,
And yeah, it's when I listen to it now, it's like, oh my goodness, because it's very raw. Yes, some of it.
right,
I mean,
right,
it's
right,
kind of a
right,
journey, from the darkest despair
right,
to the healing and coming out of it and feeling
right.
joy again. So it's a whole journey.
And you
Um,
wonder how much distance you've traveled since that
Yeah,
part
but
when you
when
realized.
I listen to some of the tracks, it's very real and very raw, and it
Right,
really reflects everything that I was going through at the time.
right.
But it's a yeah,
Maybe that's one of the biggest reasons that I can like super connect to it, because I'm in that phase where you were when you wrote that album. So maybe I'm just
right.
in that stage that I could
Yes,
relate to everything.
yes, yes,
Wonderful.
yes. I know that when I've shared my music, people come back and say, "Oh, it's like you're talking to me." It's it's because it is just so real, and
Yes,
it's
yes, yes.
everything that I felt. And I know now. I didn't even know at the time, but now I know that we all feel that.
Feel
And
that,
that
right. It actually
it's
feels like you're talking to us.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
I love to sing and I love to write music, and
Hmm.
I really love to write about my own experiences because I know how much it touches people.
Hmm. Right.
So yeah, yeah.
This is a new thing for me. What you're offering, that you know um, you subconsciously write about things that have hurt you, and it's your way out for healing. Like I, I am a songwriter myself, and it's just a general thought that artists write with their own experiences, but this is like subconscious healing. Like you're just you know putting it out. That's what it is.
Well, I think it's very relatable. If you've
Right.
been through this experience, it's
Right.
incredibly relatable. And I've had people that have written to me and they've listened to a song and like they've just been, it's just brought floods of tears because it
Yes.
just pierces the heart,
Right.
and it can also bring them a lot of comfort to know that somebody else really gets it. Because I
Hmm.
know when I was
Exactly.
going through it, I didn't have that. there was
Right.
nobody that really got it until I
Mm-hmm.
started to really seek help.
Mm-hmm.
I did start to find people to help me, but
Mm-hmm.
when I was really going through that horrific pain,
Mm-hmm.
um, I didn't know that what it was, or that
Yeah.
there was any, and it was, so when I see people that really relate to the music and
Mm-hmm.
they get comfort from knowing that somebody understands
Right.
what they're going through.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's an amazing thing that I didn't even expect when I wrote it.
Right.
You
Right.
I had no idea how that album would be used when I was writing it, but it's an amazing thing that's happened. Yeah.
Great. Congratulations on the music, and let's hope that
Thank
it just keeps helping people who are into self-healing and they're looking for answers. People like
Well,
me.
it's certainly a complementary, thing to
Mhm.
the majority of my healing and coaching work. Yeah.
All right, great. Um, Next thing that I would like you to share your thoughts on would be what behaviors, according to you, make a person narcissistic? And I would want you to put some light on not the things that people can go and find on the internet, as in there's the diagnostic manual that people can read. They can read about it. They can have those checklist kind of a thing. But if we don't talk about the scientific things and just, I mean, just to help people recognize narcissistic people around them. So, what do you think if we put it in a layman's language? How would you put those traits?
Well, a narcissist is somebody that, first and foremost, they are looking for what we call supply. And just very simply, supply is attention, adoration. They want to feel special, they want to feel worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're with a narcissist, they can appear very charismatic, very charming. They can be larger than life characters, they can be very attractive, actually. Um,
Okay.
and if a narcissist, it depends what context you're talking about, but, with an intimate partner kind of
Mm-hmm.
context,
Mm-hmm.
they, they tend to be very good at quickly attaching to and honing in on people's weaknesses
Okay.
and
Okay.
really getting to know our gaps, if you like, or our
Okay.
weaknesses, and then in order to get supply, they will pretend to be the person that we are looking for, that we would like to meet. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And so, um, and so that's how they will appear when we meet them. Um, and they will move things along very quickly. And
Okay.
it's all about sealing the deal, sealing the deal so that they can get this sense of worth and this sense of importance
Okay.
and
Okay.
feeling special that they want to have.
Right.
So that's how they will appear.
Appear.
They
Yes.
tend to come across as very superior,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they tend to think they're better than other people.
Right.
Um, so that's kind of the persona, but
Right.
the real person,
Right.
they um, they can be very condescending, very demeaning to other
Okay.
people. Um, if you try to hold them accountable,
Right.
or responsible, they will they're likely to punish you in
Right.
some way.
Right.
So
So
it's all about control.
control. Okay. So now these couple of things that you mentioned, that they demean you, that they seek control all the time, and they're not very good at taking criticisms. So can we put these as the general traits? Because it's, if we don't talk about romantic relationships, I mean, maybe, your parents or your sibling is
Yeah,
narcissist, so we can just put the same traits in that kind of a relationship as well, that they try to seek control.
pretty much, yeah. It's about control and it's all about them.
Of course.
And
Right.
it's about, they will create a world where um, you have to fit into their world.
Yes.
You
Yes.
have to fit, revolve your life around them.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
you find yourself having no voice and
Yes.
becoming
Yes.
smaller and smaller and smaller
Right.
and having no rights and no voice because it's all about them. Um,
Okay.
yeah, there's a complete lack of empathy. They don't
Mm-hmm.
have empathy, um,
Okay.
and they don't have remorse. They don't have conscience.
Okay.
So
Okay.
normal realms of human decency and
Right.
human behavior where we kind of know right from wrong, we have a conscience, we feel bad when we do something wrong,
Right.
we empathize with others. those
Mm-hmm.
those normal human decency traits are not
Right.
there in narcissists.
Okay. So apart from the attention seeking and the charismatic personality, these things would, I mean, basically these are the things that, make a healthy relationship thrive, and these things are basically missing from their personality, right?
Yeah, they don't have the capacity for
Right.
responsibility, accountability,
Okay.
remorse, conscience, empathy,
Right. Right.
humility,
Right.
vulnerability. They don't have those. And that's why they don't change, because those traits are
Yeah.
needed
Yeah.
for change to occur.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I have thought of that question to ask you, so we'll continue on this a bit more
Cool.
when we get to that question. Um, I mean, that's what the next question is. Why do you think it's impossible for a narcissist to change, or maybe, if I mean, why it's like super impossible or too difficult to make them understand that they're causing hurt to other people, and at the same time, why it's such a big task or like a dead end to get them to therapy?
Yeah, because they don't have any opening to change. There's no opening. If
Mm-hmm.
somebody doesn't have responsibility or
Right.
accountability for their actions,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't have humility,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have empathy, um, vulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
those are the characteristics that are needed for an opening to change. And they
Right.
don't have those. They may pretend to have them.
Mm-hmm.
There are narcissists that will say, I'll go to therapy.
Right.
They'll even go to therapy, actually. There's
Okay.
narcissists that will go to therapy,
Okay.
but it never sticks. They will just run rings around the therapist.
Oh.
And that's why, because there is just no opening to change. Um, and it's all about them. So a narcissist doesn't play fair. So most of us,
Right.
we think in terms of being reasonable,
Right.
being fair, considering another person. A
Right.
narcissist doesn't think in those terms. A narcissist just thinks in terms of himself or herself.
Right.
That's what they think. And it's all about, retaining that control and getting the supply that
Mm-hmm.
they need. Narcissists actually need that supply for their life force. Yes, they
Okay.
need that supply to be able to live.
Right.
So for a narcissist, that's what it's about. It's not about being fair, being reasonable, being considerate to another person.
Right, right. So, like you mentioned earlier, that codependency and narcissism, they go hand in hand. They both need each other somehow. But um, the spiritual benefit that an empath or a codependent has is that there's a chance that they might, and a lot of people are a testimony to that, that they might heal themselves. They might see certain things about,
Codependent absolutely heal.
right,
Yes, a codependent person can
right.
heal because
Whereas a
they have
narcissist has no, like they don't believe that they
no.
have
A
anything wrong with them.
codependent person has the traits to be able to heal. So where I was talking
Right.
about, codependent person can be responsible.
Yes.
They are accountable for their actions.
Right.
They have that capacity. They can
Right.
be vulnerable. They
Hmm.
can show remorse. They
Right.
have conscience. They have the qualities
Okay.
that um, allow them, create an opening for healing and create an opening for
Okay.
change. So
All right.
a codependent person has every chance of healing,
Of
absolutely.
course.
And many codependent people have very successfully healed from
Right.
narcissistic abuse, and they've learned how to set boundaries, and they've released trauma, and they've
Right.
formed a new connection with their
Right.
traumatized part of themselves.
Right.
But a narcissist does not have that capacity.
Of course. Okay. Then my next question would be, um, what according to you would be certain specific measures that a person can explore after they've just recently figured out that they were subject to narcissistic abuse?
You mean to heal?
Yes, to heal. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, my experience and my feeling is that the only way to heal actually is to meet and release the trauma out of our bodies. I truly believe that. It's a combination of, we cannot think our way out of trauma. That's why there are so many people actually that go to therapy, talking therapies. And, I want to say that there is a place for talking therapies, just as there's a place for medication.
Hmm.
However, um, there are many people that have been in therapy, just talking therapies for years, and they're just
Hmm.
going around and around the same story.
Hmm.
Or they're on medication that is just numbing out the pain, and the root cause of the trauma is not being addressed. Yes.
Right, right.
So my real feeling is that this is trauma. It's living inside the body, and the way to heal is to go within ourselves and meet the traumatized parts of ourselves, the wounded parts of ourselves, the little girl, the little boy inside that's trying to get our attention, to form a new relationship with that part of ourselves. That takes a lot of kindness and devotion
Yes.
to really form a whole new relationship with ourselves
Hmm.
and to actually release that trauma out of the body. And I take people through specific processes to do that, and I have done that myself. And
Okay.
that is how I experienced relief
Okay.
and healing from the pain, because it actually releasing trauma out of the body space,
Right.
creates space for the answers and the wisdom and the insights to start to emerge. Yes,
Okay.
all the answers are inside us. All the
Yes, of
answers
course. Right,
by
right.
releasing the trauma, we create space inside. And I take it a step further because I believe that we can replace that trauma
Mm-hmm.
with God, source, love, universal energy, whatever your version of it is.
The healthy things that we deserve.
Sorry?
The healthy things that we deserve.
Sorry, I can't say that again.
The things that you're mentioning, all the love and support that we need. These are all the healthy things that we all deserve. We just got the
Oh,
wrong set of things.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. We it's about giving to ourselves all
Mm-hmm.
of the things that we were looking for from the narcissist: the love, the validation, the acceptance, the approval. And for many of us, it's come from childhood wounds,
Right.
where, I mean, I know for myself, I, because of my childhood trauma, I was going into my adult relationships with the
Mm-hmm.
eyes of the child, looking
Okay.
for loving parents that I hadn't had. Yes. And
Yes,
so
yes,
that
yes.
left me highly susceptible to narcissistic abuse.
Of course. All right. The last thing that I would want you to just talk about is what got you working in this direction, and if you'd like to just share your story with us.
Sure. Well, I'll share a little bit of it.
Yes.
I was, my father was a narcissist.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't know that. I know that now. I didn't
Right,
know that
right.
before marriage. Um, that my father was a narcissist, and my mother was highly, highly codependent.
Okay.
And my mother left my father when I was young, when I was 5 years old. But she then got involved in a religious cult kind of setup,
Okay. Okay.
which was also full of narcissists. And so
Oh,
I suffered a lot of abuse,
okay.
emotionally and physically. I
Okay.
left home at 16, so I was very young.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and I just generally felt very, very unloved
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, not valuable and not accepted. And I was highly insecure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was pretty self sufficient and I was good at kind of just getting on with it. But
Mm-hmm.
every time I got into a romantic relationship,
Mm-hmm.
all of my insecurities, all of my trauma kind of came to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And, and so it wasn't my, eventually it was kind of inevitable that I would be in a narcissistic marriage at some point. Um, Although, when I was going through it, I had no idea
Mm-hmm.
um, that I was experiencing narcissistic abuse. But,
Okay.
I met my husband in America, and, the classic thing, he was everything that I'd ever wanted. He seemed to be this person,
Right.
everything that I'd ever dreamed of.
Right.
Um, and, he was also very spiritual. Um,
Okay.
he was a doctor. He was both a mainstream doctor and also a holistic doctor.
Okay.
And he was very, very intelligent, I mean, highly intelligent
Okay.
and highly knowledgeable on spirituality, and which I was very attracted to because my
Mm-hmm.
parents actually had been very religious,
Okay.
and so I was very attracted to spiritual teachings. rather than spiritual, rather than religion.
Okay.
And so, yes, we were married very quickly. We were married within 6 months of meeting.
Okay.
But very quickly, once I was really hooked into this,
Right.
I started to see a very different side to him. And
Mm-hmm.
he set himself up as my spiritual teacher.
Okay.
And he would use spiritual teachings to manipulate and control.
Okay.
And so I started to see, the condescending person, controlling person, the demeaning person, the person who had no empathy. And he
Mm-hmm.
would actually flip between being incredibly loving and kind and the person that I had met, yes, the
Mm-hmm.
person that I had fallen in love with,
Yes.
to other person. And he would flip between the two.
Okay.
And on top of that, he used spirituality. So all of this was all in the name of God. And it was all for my evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So it was highly manipulative. And I
Mm-hmm.
just became smaller and smaller and smaller. And I started just walking on eggshells. I felt as though I never knew what was going to happen from one minute to the next minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always trying to make things okay. I was always trying to pacify things and make it okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was desperate to hold on to my marriage. And yeah, I just kind of lost myself. I lost my voice. Um, and so, that's kind of a small snippet of it. And I ended up, we were married for 7 years. And eventually I did leave. And I went to Bali. And very much, went through my own journey. And it was horrific. I could hardly function. I didn't know what had happened to me. I just knew that something was very, very wrong. And I was
Mm-hmm.
having severe panic attacks. Um, I could honestly barely function. And there was a Christmas day, I'll never forget it. And I was in Bali on a Christmas day.
Mm-hmm.
I actually woke up in the morning on my bathroom floor where I had fainted. I
Mm-hmm.
passed out the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember going out onto the road in front
Mm-hmm.
of the building that I was in, and just walking up and down, and I was just completely hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really was in great fear for my life. I couldn't see any way of continuing to live. I had lost everything. I'd lost my home. I wasn't living in my country. I'd my family, my marriage, my health, like everything, my whole identity as I had known it had gone. Um, and I really didn't know how I was going to keep living, and I honestly thought I was going to take my life. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the nearest I've ever gotten to that experience. And
Okay.
somebody called an ambulance actually, and I ended up in a clinic
Okay.
with a very, very kind Balinese doctor who just held my hand and told me it was going to be okay. And
All
from
right.
there, I went to a centre in Thailand for people who were suffering severe stress.
Okay.
And I ended up being there for 4 months,
Mm-hmm.
just with a very loving community and nutritious food and yoga and
Mm-hmm.
meditation and all of that. But it
Okay.
wasn't until I left there 4 months later that I read a book all about narcissistic abuse. And it was when I read that book that I finally really got what had happened and how this had happened. And this was, about 11 months after I had left the marriage. And I realised truly it was just like reading my story. And I couldn't believe it. It was like, wow, it was just like reading my story. And then I realised what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
From there, I started to really get myself support. Um, and I really started to heal and meet the trauma within me and started to release it out of my body and really did everything that I've just been talking about in
Mm-hmm.
really forming this whole new relationship with myself. And and then I wrote my music, and so it was an amazing journey. But throughout that journey, I began to realize the bigger picture of what had
Mm-hmm.
happened, and I began to really get in touch with a sense of purpose, that this
Mm-hmm.
had all happened for a reason.
Of
And
course.
part of the reason was to heal myself on a very profound level,
Right.
like I never would have had I not had that experience. And
Right.
the other part of it was to truly live my purpose. And I believe that purpose is in, supporting other people to heal
Right.
from.
Right.
Um, and so that is the reason I set up Love is Always Kind, to support others to heal in the way that I've been able to heal. And, not only to heal, because I think in this community, we hear the words victim and survivor. We hear those words a lot. And,
Yes.
the thing about narcissistic abuse that we're survivors and we're
Right.
victims, and we have to learn to manage our symptoms, whereas I actually believe that we can heal for real, and we can go on to live amazing lives and beautiful lives and be free, and be free to really create the lives and the love that we deserve. um, like I have been able to, and so many that I have supported have.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's a little bit about my own journey and how I came to set up Love is Always Kind and be doing what I'm doing.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for choosing this direction, I would say, because I mean, maybe you could have healed and then you would have, gone to some other career that you always wanted to follow. But now you're on that path where you're helping other people. It's like holding them by the hand, giving them a safe space, like you call your organization. And right, thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview for me. This is
Oh, you're
a
very
start
welcome.
for the channel as well. So I'm really grateful
Yeah,
for you to giving me your time.
so you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Guys, I would be adding the links for Julianne's organization. I would be adding her social media links in the description for the video. And below it, I would also add the same links for our channel, so you can, just find more about Julianne and about Rubbish Truths on other platforms as well.
Yeah,
So,
and just quickly mention my sites. It's loveIsAlwaysKind.com. So
of
loveIsAlwaysKind.com.
course,
That's how you can connect with me
of
and
course.
find
So
out.
I'll just add the link in the description so that people can just click on it and find more about you and your the services that you offer. Um, I was just checking out. You also have a 10-day free recovery series.
Yeah, people can get that by just going to the website. They can sign
Right.
up for that, and it's a free complimentary healing and recovery series that they can get.
Great. Great. Thank you so much. Okay, guys. So that's it for the day. Until next time. Thank you so much.